Hello, my name is Melinda Zosh, and I'm a reporter at an ABC Fox affiliate in Great Falls, Montana. Well, you might wonder, how did I end up here, especially if you know that I came all the way from the East Coast. I'm a small town girl, and I grew up in the state of Pennsylvania. Let me share a little bit about my story with you. So I grew up in a very, very small town, population of just about 1,600 people. When I was in 9th grade, I decided to venture outside of my comfort zone because I was a very shy child and then teenager. But then someone came to me and said, "Well, have you ever thought about doing journalism?" I said, "Well, I don't know. I'm kind of shy. I don't know if I can talk to people all the time, especially strangers." Well, that's the moment that changed my life, the moment I decided to get outside of my comfort zone. So in 9th grade, I joined the high school newspaper, got my feet wet a little bit, and finally broke out of my shell. Needless to say, it took me a little bit, but I finally got comfortable talking to complete strangers and interviewing them, getting to know their stories. So come my senior year, I'm editor-in-chief of the newspaper. Love it. Love every minute of being a reporter. So I've grown from this shy little person, and I did have big glasses back then. I've grown from that into a senior in high school who's wanting to get out and explore the world. So needless to say, I applied to Liberty University, got in, and I made my next adventure down south in Lynchburg. So while I was at Liberty, I kind of did the same thing. I got involved with a newspaper, student government, a lot of volunteering in town, and then I decided to do some internships too. So during the summer of my freshman year, I went to Washington, D.C., interned for an online news source. So I got a lot of writing in, went to a lot of think tanks in Washington, met a lot of interesting people, needless to say. After that, my second year, I did another internship, also in Washington, D.C., during the summer. Met some more interesting people all over the nation's capital. Worked for a radio station at that time. After that, well, I decided that it was time to get involved with TV journalism. So the next year, I interned at a local TV station in upstate New York, very close to where I grew up. So worked there, got to do some live shots, what we call in the news business, where you're talking on live TV. So my very first live shot, and let me tell you, I was a little bit nervous. Maybe a lot nervous, I'm not gonna lie. But after I got into the habit of talking more and more and getting more and more comfortable, I realized that God had set aside a calling for my life. I was meant to be a storyteller. I was meant to find a way to tell other people's stories and to share those unique experiences with the world. So at that point, I realized my life wasn't just about me and rising up the ranks and just being a journalist for the sake of being a journalist. It was to share experiences that maybe they wouldn't have been shared otherwise. So that's kind of where my story began. And today I'm a reporter and I do weekend weather here in Montana. So God led me here. But I feel like branding isn't just about stories. It's about who you are as a person. So I like to think of myself as a little bit funny, have a sense of humor. I like to smile a lot, and I like to make other people smile, whether it be with my stories or just telling a joke or making someone else feel comfortable, getting them out of their comfort zones, like how I was brought out of my comfort zone when I was just a freshman in high school. And to me, it's also about the way you treat people, because the number one thing I've learned as a communicator is that people remember the way that you treat them. They may not remember everything that you say, but they'll remember the way you made them feel. So first impressions, they matter a lot. And how do you make a first impression great? How do you brand yourself as a person who makes other people feel comfortable? Well, you have to feel comfortable with yourself. So that's something else I've learned, is being comfortable with myself sets other people at ease. Sometimes when you meet people for the first time, their walls are up to here. They're going to be defensive and they're not going to reveal their true selves right away. But if you feel comfortable enough, if you're genuine enough that you can be yourself, then maybe that other person will start to bring down their defenses just a little bit. Well, that's my story. I'm interested in hearing more about you. I'm looking forward to interacting more with you throughout our course.